Wade, now let's actually dive into an example where we can use the exploratory data analysis tools that we talked about on an actual
What
example.
example do you have for us today?
So I have an example that consists of four unique data sets. And this specific collection of data sets is actually, it has a name because it's kind of famous. It's called Anscombe's Quartet. And it's a famous set of four data points that has some interesting properties that are maybe even a little deceptive. So we're going to go ahead and load each of the four data sets into Python. If you could do that for us, Wade.
Awesome. I'm importing pandas as PD, and then this is df is equal to pd.read csv hts waf.cs.illinois.edu/discovery/anscombe.csv. And I'm going to test that I made sure I loaded it correctly, and I see a data set with 11 data points and an x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3, and x4, y4.
Perfect. That sounds exactly like the quartet. And we basically have these four data sets that each have two variables. So we have an X and a Y for each one. So like you said, X1, Y1, Y2, X2, Y2, etc. And so since we just got this data set, we don't know much about it yet. How about we go ahead and calculate some properties? And actually before that, I want to do a bit of what we talked about with EDA. So Wade, are there any column names that are confusing or missing values or anything like that that you see right away?
So there's no missing values, and it seems that the columns are paired. X1 and Y1 both have the same suffix, so I'm guessing they're related, but otherwise it's looking like four simultaneous data sets.
Perfect. That's exactly what we want. And this data set is very clean. We don't have to do any cleaning of that data set or manipulating anything. It was just given to us. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the descriptive statistics part of exploratory data analysis. So if we could go ahead and find the mean of X1.
So I'm going to use df.describe, which is going to give me
Perfect.
all of the descriptive statistics about this whole data set.
That is even better.
So you're looking for the mean, Carly.
Yes, I have mean, standard deviation, and then we're also going to look at another statistic called the correlation, which is measured by the correlation coefficient. And we're going to talk a lot more about correlation in this series. But all you really need to know right now is that it measures the relationship between x and y, the linear relationship, and it ranges between -1 and +1.
So the mean, I can just read it across going x1, y1. So the
Perfect.
mean of x1 is 9,
9,
then 7.5 for y1,
7.5 for y1. Got
and
it.
then x2 is 9 and 7.5,
Interesting.
and then 9 and 7.5,
All right, so we're seeing a pattern. What
and
about the
then
last one?
same as 9, same as the others, 9 and 7.5.
9 and 7.5. So it looks like all of the columns in our data set have the exact same means for x's and the exact same means for y's. What about the standard deviations?
So standard deviations for x1 we have 3.31,
3.31,
and for y1 we have 2.03.
2.03. Cool.
And then that repeats just like the mean.
All right, so same, all the x's have the same mean, the same standard deviation, and so do the y's. And then, Wade, what does that mean about the variance? I don't have a row for variance here, but would the variances be the same as well?
Yeah, so the variance is the square of the standard deviation. So if you have the same constant, then you're going to have the same number once you square that number.
Exactly. And then let's go ahead and look at if you can pull the correlations really quick. That would be great. And again, the correlations just measure how strong is the linear relationship between x and y. I like to think of it as how easy is it to draw a line of best fit through all the points. We have x's and y's, so correlations make sense here. And the closer the correlation coefficient is to +1, the closer the points form a line with a positive slope, a straight line. So what did we get for our correlation of x1 and y1?
So x1 and y1 are correlated with a factor of 0.816.
0.816. So I would say that this is a pretty strong correlation Remember, it's capped at 1. The correlation ranges between -1 if we have a negative correlation and +1 if we have a positive correlation. So this is pretty strong. What about x2 and y2?
X2 and Y2 are correlated with the same value, 0.816.
I'm not surprised. And then x3 and y3?
Same thing, 0.816.
0.816. And then x4 and y4?
0.816.
0.816. So this is, I want to say this is interesting, but this is actually kind of boring, right? We have all the same descriptive statistics for each quartet, each set of x's and y's. So if we look here, it says Anscombe's quartet has several interesting properties. And the interesting properties have to do with these descriptive statistics. The x values are identical. It says the mean and standard deviation. The x values are, I'm going to also add, identical. Same with the mean and standard deviation of the y values. Those are identical. And then the correlation, and later when we talk about the regression line, we would see if we looked at this data set that the regression lines are also identical. So these are the properties of Anscombe's quartet that make it unique. We have these same descriptive statistics. And an important thing in exploratory data analysis, or EDA, is to make sure that you want to visualize the data as well. So if I
Because at this point, I'm feeling like this data's got to be very similar, right?
Exactly. Yes. If I just stopped here, I would think we just have the same. Are they just the same set of x's and y's?
And in fact, if I look at the data, the x's and all of the x's are the same for x1, x2, and x3. So there is a lot of
Interesting.
similarity in this data.
There is a lot of similarity, but the y's are very different, it looks like, for all of them.
But they look roughly random.
But they look roughly random. And so if I was looking at this data set and I did see that all the x's and y's were the same, then okay, you visualize one, you visualize all of them. But these are different. So let's go ahead and plot these sets of points. And we can use something called a scatter plot, which basically just has an x and a y axis and plots each individual point. So when we do that, Wade, do you want to go ahead and just generally let's do a plot of x1 and y1.
Yeah, I'm doing df.plot.scatter, and then I want my
Perfect.
x to be equal to the column x1 and my y to be equal to the column y1. And then this will generate a scatter plot where the column x1 is along the x-axis and the column y1 is along the y-axis.
Perfect. And I have that right here. And we can see that this scatter plot kind of forms, it's not a straight line, but if I were to draw a line of best fit through it, it would be a line with a positive slope. So that correlation of 0.816 makes sense. What about a plot of x2 and y2?
So x2 and y2, this plot makes kind of an arc. It's a little different shape.
Ooh, it's a different shape. And yeah, I have that one here. This one actually doesn't really seem like a straight line at all. It's an arc. And then if we plot the other two sets of points.
For x3, y3, I see another plot that is almost a straight line with one point kind of way out in the sky.
Yeah, one point that kind of looks like it would possibly be an outlier.
And then x4, y4 is a totally different graph in the sense that there's all, I guess, 10 of the points way on the left-hand side and then 1 point way on the right-hand side.
And I think that makes sense because if I remember correctly, x4, let me look back, all of the values were 8 except for 1. So that's what we see. So this is kind of crazy because all of these sets of the quartet had the exact same descriptive statistics. But when we plotted them, they looked drastically different. So that's something that kind of shows the importance of visualization and exploratory data analysis. You don't want to have that misconception that all of these data sets are the same when really they're very different.
Awesome.